Remember when cars weren't just vehicles? They were living rooms on wheels? When chrome ruled the streets, gas was cheap and size mattered more than speed? From plush velour seats to hoods longer than your first apartment, this was the golden age of the American land yacht. In today's video, we're setting sail down memory lane through the creaky garages and sun-baked boulevards of the past to count down the top 20 biggest American cars ever built. These aren't just cars, they're rolling monuments to a time when Detroit thought, why not make it bigger? So buckle up. Well, maybe just lean back and sink into the seat. This is going to be one long, wide, glorious ride. Let's start our journey in 1963, when Dodge rolled out the Custom 880, a big-bodied cruiser stretching 214.8 inches and powered by a 361 cubic inch V8. It showed up a little late to the full-size party, but made up for it with wide chrome bumpers and a front grille you could land a plane on. Inside, vinyl seats, enough room for three up front, and that classic Detroit hum. It didn't stay long, just until 65, but it marked the moment Dodge said, we can build them big too. Fast forward a dozen years, and Dodge took that same full-size DNA and wrapped it in something, well, funkier. Meet the 1975 Charger SE, 216 inches long, with a 360 cubic inch V8. By now, the Charger wasn't the lean muscle car of the 60s. Nope. This one traded brawn for shag carpeting and square corners. It looked more like a rolling bachelor pad than a street fighter. NASCAR gave it the cold shoulder, but cruising in this thing, that was pure velvet luxury on four wheels. While Dodge was experimenting with plush vibes, Ford doubled down on elegance. The 1970 LTD, 216.1 inches long, with engine options topping out at 429 cubic inches, was all about smoothness. It wore hidden headlights and a Thunderbird-style front, with ride quality that felt more like a glider than a car. You didn't steer it. You suggested a direction. For many, this was the official car of American Sundays. Church, groceries, and a long nap in the back seat. But if the LTD was conservative class, the '71 Buick Riviera was full-on design rebellion. At 217.4 inches with a 455 cubic inch V8, it came crashing into showrooms with a boat-tail rear that looked like a spaceship got cozy with a speedboat. Buick even threw in early traction control, way ahead of its time. Sure, the ventilation system was a mess, and yes, it let in more exhaust than air, but who cared? This car wasn't trying to be normal. It was a head-turner, whether you liked it or not. And speaking of head-turners, let's talk about the '69 Dodge Polara 500, a true heavyweight at 220.8 inches long, running a beefy 440 Magnum V8. Dodge called it fuselage styling, and honestly, that wasn't just marketing. It really looked like it could taxi down a runway. Inside, you got deep pile carpet, hidden wipers, and a dashboard that felt more Apollo 11 than family sedan. It was luxury meets performance meets absolute length. In the Polara, you didn't just arrive, you made an entrance. And just when you thought things couldn't get any more relaxed, along came the 1973 Chevy Impala Custom Coupe. This beauty measured 221.9 inches and ran on a trusty 350 cubic inch V8. Chevy's slogan back then was, "A better way to see America." And honestly, they weren't wrong. With vinyl seats, wood grain trim, and a ride soft enough to rock you to sleep, this Impala felt more like a mobile front porch. It didn't corner. It drifted. Gas mileage? Who was counting? You were too busy watching the miles roll by. But if the Impala was laid back, the '76 Cadillac Eldorado convertible was all-out glamorous. At 224 inches and packing a massive 500 cubic inch V8, this Caddy wasn't just long, it was legendary. Cadillac even claimed it was the last American convertible, making it a collector's dream from day one. Inside, 6-way leather seats, auto climate control, and enough chrome to reflect your whole neighborhood. You didn't just drive the Eldorado, you waved to the peasants as you passed. Of course, if Cadillac was putting on a tuxedo, Ford's Thunderbird was slipping into a disco suit. The 1976 model stretched out to 225.7 inches, weighing in at over 5,000 pounds, and often came dressed in colors like lipstick red. A 460 V8 hummed under the hood, while optional 8-track players and velour seats completed the look. It wasn't built for corners. It was built for stairs. With chrome in all the right places, the T-Bird wasn't subtle. It was a parade float with turn signals. Just 1 year later, Dodge brought out the Royal Monaco, a car that looked like it should have had its own ZIP code. At 225.7 inches and powered by a 400 cubic inch V8, this thing had vinyl seats, ashtrays front and back, and even a digital clock. The kind with glowing red numbers that made you feel like you were in the future. The ride, software, the styling, serious, and the presence, unmistakable. You didn't just own a Royal Monaco, you held court in it. And now we reach a true American icon, the 1970 Buick Electra 225, also known as the Deuce and a Quarter. At exactly 225 inches and powered by a muscle-packed 455 cubic inch V8, this car had presence, polish, and plenty of power. You could get it in leather or velour, and it always came with one thing standard: attitude. It wasn't flashy, but it was formidable. Whether parked at the golf course or floating down the boulevard, the Electra 225 made one thing clear: this was luxury with torque. As we enter the top 10, it's time for some designer-level drama, and the 1972 Lincoln Continental Mark IV delivers. This rolling palace measured 228 inches, powered by a smooth 460 cubic inch V8. But the real magic? Cartier, Bill Blass, and even Gucci editions, each with custom colors and a gold-plated plaque on the dash. A plaque. It had the weight of a safe and rode like a cloud. You didn't just drive the Mark IV, you entered a room wearing it. This was quiet wealth in vinyl form. But for those who wanted Cadillac-level luxury without the Cadillac name, there was the 1970 Imperial Crown. Coming in at 229.7 inches, this beast packed a 440 cubic inch V8 that could move mountains, slowly but confidently. It had bench seats softer than your grandma's love seat, and a ride that felt like you were sailing. Sure, it shared a platform with Chrysler, but don't tell that to the owner. The Imperial didn't just compete, it whispered, "I don't need a crest to be royal." Of course, Cadillac wasn't just sitting quietly in the background. The 1975 Coupe de Ville was a legend in its own right, stretching 230.7 inches with a 500 cubic inch V8 under that endless hood. With velour or leather inside, chrome trim outside, and even cornering lights to help steer your ocean liner, this thing was pure indulgence. It didn't hustle, it hovered. It wasn't a car, it was a personal cruise ship, ready for every wedding, anniversary, and drive-through you could throw at it. Just when you thought they couldn't get any bigger, along came the 1978 Chrysler New Yorker Brougham, a full-size farewell to the classic C-body platform. At 231 inches and fitted with a 400 cubic inch V8, or a cleaner 360 in California, this car was peak lounge on wheels. Inside, you got a foot-operated radio search and an optional CB radio, because nothing says luxury like yelling "breaker, breaker" from a velvet cabin. It didn't handle curves. It flowed like molasses on a summer day. Next up is a car so long it practically needed tugboats. The 1974 Oldsmobile 98 LS, measuring a massive 232.4 inches with a 455 cubic inch rocket V8, this was Oldsmobile's masterpiece of excess. It had federally mandated 5-member bumpers that looked like marble slabs and an interior that felt like your rich uncle's den. Plush velour, real ashtrays, and wood grain that had never seen a tree. This wasn't a car for drivers. This was for captains, and every ride was a maiden voyage. Crossing into the final 5, we meet a car that didn't just whisper luxury, it projected it through padded vinyl. The 1979 Lincoln Continental Town Car was 233 inches long and powered by a relaxed 400 cubic inch V8. It came dressed with opera windows, wire hubcaps, and the elegant collector series which made you feel like royalty, even on a grocery run. The hood was long enough to host a lawn party, and the ride, pillow soft. The town car didn't turn heads. It bowed to no one. Next comes a name so iconic, they baked its size right into the badge. The Buick Electra 225, or as folks called it, the deuce and a quarter. But in 1975, it grew even longer, to 233.7 inches, with a 455 cubic inch V8 barely breathing under emissions restrictions. Still, inside you had patterned velour so rich you'd take your shoes off, and enough chrome outside to signal ships at sea. Buick said it wasn't pompous, but honestly, it was gloriously pompous, and proud of it. At number 3, we hit true yacht territory, the 1973 Imperial LeBaron. This behemoth stretched out to 235.3 inches, with a big 440 cubic inch V8 anchoring it down. Federal bumpers added even more heft, giving it a presence you couldn't ignore if you tried. Inside was all about plush, wide comfort. Think velvet furniture showroom on wheels. The LeBaron didn't care about turning radius or fuel economy. It was here to dominate, to roll, to float, and to make parking attendants sweat. Now we enter limousine territory, and literally. The 1976 Cadillac Fleetwood 75 was 252.2 inches long, longer than some RVs, and required its own zip code at times. Powered by a 500 cubic inch V8, this was the car for heads of state, movie moguls, and people who didn't just want space, they wanted distance. It came with jump seats, a partition window, and that unmistakable caddy ride. You didn't sit in it. You sank into it like a velvet throne that moved. And finally, at number 1, the true king of kings, the 1977 Lincoln Continental presidential limousine. A custom stretch built for the White House, it reached nearly 255 inches, carried a 460 cubic inch V8, and featured everything from armor plating to velvet panels. Presidents Carter and Reagan both rode in it. This wasn't a car. It was a monument with wheels designed to inspire awe, fear, and a whole lot of salutes. It didn't just end the era of land yachts, it crowned it. That's our list of the biggest, boldest American land yachts. Now tell us, which one would you drive today if gas and parking didn't matter? Drop it in the comments, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. More chrome beasts are coming.